Welcome to Samadhi Game. Today we're going to do a few exercises and work it out and work it in. That means that we're going to go within as much as we go without. That means that we're going to explore and exercise the internal space of I amness, the beingness of who you are, as much as we're going to be exercising the physical body. And we're going to take that inside work and we're going to bring it out. So that's the Tantra. When you bring that inside out, the outside in, we're going to do some exercises, some breathing, some meditation. And I'm going to be doing something with an iPhone. We're going to be using that iPhone that you see back there as the camera for this. We're experimenting because this summer, when we have our 8 days of Samadhi, we'll be filming Elliot as she gives her yoga lessons outdoors on the Sunny Meadow Beach, which is going to be under construction today, actually. We're going to be doing a little modification of the beach so that it has a better platform for Elliot to teach from. And we'll be filming that and broadcasting live from outdoors using a remote wireless technology that Wirecast is embedded in their software. It's pretty cool. Anyway, we're going to test it out by just using it here in the living room today and see if we can make it work and if it's acceptable for you and what you think. All right, so here we go. We're gonna switch over to that iPhone cam, and the sound may be a little bit different, and but bear with us. This is an experimental run through. I want to see just how much sound we get out of the iPhone. All right, here we go. Welcome to this exercise. Let's exercise the outer body and let's exercise the inner body as well. Om. Let's begin with breathing. Breathe it out and then sink. Let's do the opposite. Breathing in and out. I just want to check and see that there is some sort of sound. Oh, I think there is. Yes. I just might have to speak a little bit louder. Good. All right, a little bit more of the same exercise. Come with me. Pull the arms back and breathe in. Accentuate the backward pull. Let's go into chair position. Hands as high above the head as you can, and just sitting, squatting back, as though someone were pulling you from the top of your head. And then up and release. In between these exercises, we need to feel what's happened in the body with each exercise. Feeling how that particular movement and breath has energized certain quadrants of the body. Feel into that. Become aware of that. And as you do so, you will be enacting the same rituals that the great yogis, East and West, have practiced in their own physical disciplines, thus enabling them to chart the pathways of energy in the body. It's not exclusive to them. You too can feel these flows of energy in the different parts of the body that are energized by these exercises that we do. Becoming aware of that is part of the yoga, the inward awareness that we're culturing with this practice. Let's go ahead and do some twists. Let's twist and flop the arms. I don't know if you can see it from my feet. Let's see if I can bend it down a little bit here. This twist. Watch the foot. It goes out, the arms come around, and flop. So there's a flop. Sometimes you'll get a back adjustment from this, or a hip adjustment. Do some forward lunges. Gently coming forward. I'll lift up the camera just a little bit here. It's all experimental today, seeing how it works. Now just bring the arms up. And stepping back, other side. And again, taking the moments to feel the effect on the body of that particular movement, the breath, and the pose that we held. And if you can't feel it, if you You just don't think you can feel it. Allow yourself to imagine that you're feeling it. What it would feel like. Let's do some big circle breaths. Your arms coming up in the front. Back in the back and out in the back. So you're breathing in the front, out in the back. Breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. Come up on the toes as you get to the top of the breath. Hold it and breathe out. Hold it and breathe out. In the other direction, breathing in the back and breathing out in the front. Casting with the iPhone. Okay. Let's go ahead and push to the sides. Stepping a little wider and then pushing, breathing out. Breathing in. Using isometric pressure, so you're giving yourself your own resistance with each movement, pushing against imaginary weight. And then letting the arms float for a moment. Again, holding the arms. Letting the energy of the movement hold the arms, even more so than the musculature itself. See if you can transfer the pain of the weight to the breath, to the vitality, to the prana invoked with that movement. Might envision yourself embracing the infinite, embracing love ineffable. And then gently, the arms coming down, even having to push them down through the weightlessness, down to the sides. And again, feeling, taking that moment to feel where the energy is moving, how it is moving in the body. Let's breathe high to the sky. the waist as far as you feel comfortable. This is a warm-up for the sun salutation, which we'll do next. This time we go down, just hang out. Release the head. Let the neck drop. Breathe up. Standing at the front of your mat. Sun salutations. Most of us know how to do this. Follow along if you can. If not, open a book somewhere. I'm going to bring it down a little bit so you can see a little bit better. All right. It's a learning curve with the iPhone camera, so let's see how we can use this with this broadcast on the internet. When you enter into these poses, you'll find a place that you need to be. Be sensitive to that and find it. Are you pushing back? Are you dropping the hips down? Are you allowing your chest to open? How much of that can you get? Where's your breath? A friend of mine gifted me with these beautiful Tibetan bowls I thought maybe I would play a few of them for you now. First time for me. I'll bring the camera down a little bit here so you can see a little bit better. Hope I don't make you too dizzy. Just experimenting today with what happens when we use this camera. It's a beautiful, low tone. I don't know if you can hear it. Fun. So once you start these bowls vibrating, they last for quite some time, and that's similar to what we're doing with Samadhi game mantras, Samadhi game invocations, affirmations that start the body, the consciousness, the soul vibrating in a certain way, and then that remains a vibration for quite some time before that vibration comes to an end. So it's important to do some vibratory work on a regular basis so that you can have that echo of immortality constantly working its way through your body, preparing you for the next octave of existence. This schoolroom is a place that we're learning to use to become masterful over certain aspects of existence. In Samadhi game, in chapter 2, we have what is called the enlightenment with squares process. It's a process that allows us to consciously enter into the work with the dual human ego. What I'd like to do now is to actually take us to that chapter and do some work with the dual human ego. All right. So I'm going to leave this camera and go to the other one. Hi. Welcome to Samadhi Game. Let me bring up our Samadhi Game Manifesto of Enlightenment. And let's go to chapter 2. This is called Deciphering Your Hungry Ghost, Your Headless Shadow. Your hungry ghost, your headless shadow. Let me come to it here. Chapter 2. Get real, get very, very, very real. Earthquakes, hurricanes, tidal waves, terrorists, tyrants, tornadoes, graves, fear, lack, rushing quickness, silent power trips, ego's fitness. Glances meet hope evanescent, the air is stale, the mature pubescent, cutting that important pose of strength, petrified of the emptiness underneath. Nods of agreement, smiles to please, this what everybody and their mother grieves. Get real, very, 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 I am real, for the time is now to surrender and heal. So we're going to be using the Samadhi Game Manifesto of Enlightenment in this chapter to become aware of our dual human ego, something that we kind of have some idea that it's there, but we don't really know what it does and how it does it. And this Enlightenment Squares technique helps us to become a little bit more conscious than we would normally be of that duality that's running in our own worlds. Take us back to the page here, and you can see there's a mantra that we give that begins the idea of this, that sort of sculpts out the idea of what the Enlightenment with Squares process does. Basically, what we're doing is we're identifying a duality somewhere in consciousness, whatever it is, and the way that you find a duality is you find something that's up for you at the moment, and that might be fear, and or let's just say fear, because all of us see now these terrorists and this fearful attack, and all are wondering what's going to go on, what's going to happen. And so this fear is running in our worlds. Maybe it's in the background of our consciousness, in the unconscious and the subconscious, but nonetheless, it is happening. And if we're not aware of it, it has the effect of bringing us into certain situations and experiences that we wouldn't otherwise have if we didn't have the fear running. So let's take that fear. I'm going to just take a regular piece of paper here and draw a line down the front of it and a line across the top of it. Desire for and fear of, and desire for and fear of. And so we have 4 quadrants now, each with a label, then we put fear at the top of it. And the desire for fear and the fear of fear. The desire for, what's the opposite of fear? The opposite of fear is security, maybe? Security. And the fear of security. This gets to the root of a lot of what we're dealing with the homeland security and terrorism. So these 2 words are fairly well used in our society right now, and there's a lot of talk about it. So let's go ahead and actually process it on a more conscious level. What are we actually doing with fear and security? The desire for fear. What is it that we get out? Well, before we go over that, we have these 2 quadrants. There's something also, these 4 quadrants, we have something also that balances the 2. What is it that stands between fear and security and brings some level of enlightenment to all these different quadrants? What is it? If you happen to be tuning in to Samadhi game right now, if you just think what it is and think and say it aloud to yourself, some quality of consciousness that would hold fear and security. I would say maturity. For me, I'm going to say maturity. I always write that in the center of the square. And eventually, maturity, you write it in the center.